Hello, I'm Mariana and this is my podcast. It's a podcast about knitting, crochet and some sewing. So today I want to share with you my experience in the Oporto Knitting Festival, which was in the 3rd and 4th of June in Oporto City in Portugal. So the festival is called Knit with Friends, and this is, I guess, the 4th edition of the festival. It's my second time there. Last year was very chaotic for me because there were a lot of things happening, and it was very complicated to get there, and I end up staying for just a little bit of time. But this year it was completely different. It was everything went just perfectly, and I'm very happy with the experience. So we have a knitting group in here in Portugal, me and some of my knitting friends, and we decided to go together. So we rented some properties in Airbnb, and so we were 20 something ladies, and we were staying in a few apartments on the same street. So it was all the same Airbnb rental, but in different properties on the same street. So there were 3 different buildings for us. In each building there were different apartments. So I stayed in a studio, a 3 people studio, with with 2 other knitting friends, and it was a very peaceful and joyful experience, and it was a lot of fun. And we decided that we would make our meals in each apartment, so we don't have a lot of confusion in just one apartment, and also because the apartments are organized to have a certain number of people, and we don't have enough dishes and glasses and forks and knives and all of that, so it's difficult to have a bunch of people eating in the same house. So we decided each house would prepare their meals, and then when we were ready, we would go to the biggest house, and that would be our meeting place, and it was a lot of fun. So I took the day off on Friday and went to Oporto by train with another friend, and it's almost from Lisbon. From Lisbon it's a little more than 3 hours, 3.5 hours. But it's very fun because we are always talking and we are knitting and we are making plans for the days ahead, and it was really a good experience. So we went to Oporto, then we from the train station we went to our apartment by foot, so we were walking on Oporto, which is always a pleasure. And we met with some of the ladies who were already there, and we had a quick lunch, and then we went out shopping for yarn stores. So it was a lot of fun. So there are 2 well, there there are 2 very well known yarn stores in Oporto. One is Ovelha Negra and the other one is Lopo e Xavier, and both yarn stores are worth visiting. So if you are planning on going to Oporto, please make sure you visit both stores. They are not very far apart from each other, so you can. They are in downtown Porto, so it's very easy to find them. So I didn't buy any yarn in Lupo Xavier because it's available to me at any time, and I was saving my money in my budget for the festival. But I bought some knitting needles in Ovelha Negra because um, I I like to knit vegetable fibers with bamboo or wood needles, and I don't have a lot of them. And so I was there. I saw a few needles on the sizes I need, and I decided to buy them. So it was my purchase on the Ovelha Negra. Then we just on Friday afternoon we just went for long walks and see sightseeing, and then we went shopping for food because we have to eat. And after dinner we went to the biggest house, and we just have had a little get together with all the knitting ladies, and it was a lot of fun. In Saturday, I spent all the day in the festival. There were some workshops, but I didn't attend to any of the workshops. I was just with just seeing the market and knitting outside with other knitters, and talking about a lot of stuff with all the lovely ladies. And it was a very well spent day. So we also had a lunch organized with other knitters from all over the country, and it was a very good moment. I I got to see a few friends, knitting friends that I usually don't see that often, and I also had a chance to know new knitting friends, which is also always a good thing. And yeah, and then on Sunday we had to organize everything to make the checkout on the rentals, and I had my train was at 4 p.m. and so I went to the market on Sunday morning. Then there were a few ladies there at lunchtime, not many, but a few, and then we had lunch together. And after lunch, we went to the rentals to get our luggage, and then to the train station, and then back home again, and well, back to real life. So it was a very good weekend. It's always a pleasure to be with such a special ladies and friends. And I think it's, well, I don't have a lot of knitting friends where I live, and for me knitting is a very solitary thing. So it's always a pleasure when I can spend time with other ladies who have the same passion and who feel the same way I do about knitting and crochet and other crafts, and who feel the same way I feel about a ball of yarn. So it's great, and I don't get to feel to be surrounded with this kind of people that often. So when it does happen, for me it's always a good thing. So yeah, I want to share with you the things I got on the festival market. So for a start, I bought the bags. This year edition of the knitting festival project bag is this lovely ship. So I bought the pack. The pack was the big bag, the small project bag with the same ship but in blue, and then I also got a pin which has a blue, like one of these blue hearts, but I honestly don't know where he is. I think I put it in another project bag. I'm not sure which one of them, but well, I think he must be somewhere around. Let me see if this is... No, it's not here. Also, well, I don't know where the hell did I put the pin, but yeah, you can see what it is. So after that, I also got, well, a code for a download on Ravelry for this shawl. This is a shawl designed for the festival by, let me see if I can see who is the designer. Suzanne Sommer. So this is a design by Suzanne Sommer for the 2023 Oporto Knitting Festival, and so I have downloaded it on Ravelry. Okay, so then my shopping journey began. So I had 3 major goals for the market. One was to buy yarn from Wool Dreamers, which is a Spanish company. So they weren't present in the festival, but they had another shop selling their yarn. So last year I bought yarn from them, and this year I was really looking forward to buy yarn because they launched a few different yarns that they didn't had last year, and I really wanted to see the yarn and see if it was something that I would like to knit, of course. And so I was really looking forward to it. And so it was my first stop on the market, was the Wool Dreamers yarn, and I bought 3 balls of this yarn. This is a yarn called Manchelope. It has no torsion. It's just a little fluffy strand of yarn, and I bought 3. This is a color that it's a new color, the purple, and I have plans to knit a sweater with 2 strands of yarn, just like they are in here. You see, 2 strands, and I know that I have to cast on this sweater soon, because last year I bought a skein of this, and my cats got to it, and they really loved it, and they nested on the yarn. And well, I'm using the yarn, but it's it's not a happy yarn anymore. So yeah, I will be extra careful with this one, because I don't want to happen the same to this lovely purplish yarn, soft squishy yarn. So this was my first purchase from Wool Dreamers. Next, I bought this Saona yarn. This is also a new yarn from Wool Dreamers, and this is half merino wool, Spanish merino wool, and half cotton from Andalusia, which is also a Spanish region. So it's a very soft blend, and I bought this yarn because they had a sample of a ranunculus sweater knitted with this yarn, not in this shade, but with this yarn. And I really I have plans for knitting a ranunculus sweater, and I've been changing my plans and changing the yarn I'll use to knit the ranunculus sweater. And this time I bought this yarn specifically for my ranunculus sweater. So I saw the sweater knitted with this yarn, and I saw another sweater which was not a ranunculus, knitted with this color of the yarn, and I really loved it, and so this was my choice for my ranunculus sweater. So they say I'll need 3 balls of the yarn. This yarn is 50 grams, 220 meters, and so I have 3 balls, and I will knit a sweater sometime soon. Because this is a cotton wool blend, it will be good for our late autumn and probably early winter. We will see how the weather will be, but it's a good blend to use in the end of the autumn. Okay, so then I had also plans to buy yarn from a new Portuguese dyer and a friend, which is the friend is Maria João Duarte. She also has a podcast named Pontinhos ao Vento, and she has a hand-dyed yarn brand with the same name of her podcast, which is again Pontinhos ao Vento. So this is her brand, and she started dyeing self-striping yarn, and we had a great time testing her method of self-striping the yarn, and she has lovely color combinations for self-striping yarn. But at this point I have a lot of sock yarn, and I don't have plans for any self-striping yarn on other things that are not socks, and I don't want to buy any more sock yarn or yarn for socks, because I do have a lot of yarn, and I'm not knitting that much socks at this point. So I wanted to buy yarn from her, but I also wanted to buy yarn for a sweater and not just to be in my house, or just to have more sock yarn added to my stash. So I saw a pattern, and it's almost certain that I will knit that pattern, and the pattern has 3 colors. They are somehow coordinated, but I don't want the colors to be the transition to be too bold, so my colors are quite equal, but I also didn't want it to be like a perfect gradient, you know. I want to have a little difference, but not a big difference. So I went there, and with her help we chose a color combination. So this is my choice for her yarns. Well, so many labels. Okay, so starting with these two, this is like a very pale light blue, almost like duck egg, but it's called China blue. This color, China blue. Well, this is a sock base, so it's 75% wool, 25% acrylic polyamide, and so this is China blue. Then I bought 2 skeins of this colorway. This is called Splash 16. It has a few light pinks and these grayish blues, and some little violets over there, and I think they go really well with this one. And then I needed a darker shade, and so I bought also this one. This is jeans, and it also pairs nicely with Splash 16. So this will be the colors of my sweater, and I'm really looking forward to cast on this project. So this was my purchase from Pontinhos ao Vento. Then it really got messy, because I had one more goal, and my goal was to buy yarn to make a small shawl from another Portuguese designer, which is Marta. From her IG account is Pildarame, also the name of her Ravelry profile and page. And she also has a podcast with another knitting friend, which is called Entre Copos e Malhas, which is between drinks and stitches. So they only podcast in Portuguese, but it's worth seeing. So, well, anyway, I wanted to buy yarn to knit her shawl, and her shawl, it's a very simple gartered shawl. It has two colors, one main color and then a contrast color for a stripe of eyelets, that the shawl has a few rows of eyelets in a contrasting color. So my first choice was this yarn from Tricot and Stitch. This is a French dyer, and I really like her yarns. This is a Stellina base, and I was a little bit undecided between this one in this Stellina base with another one that she had with a lurex base. The thing is, this one has less sparkle, and I do really like more sparkle, but this shade, it's called Urban Legend, and it only has purples and pinks. The other yarn that I saw, and that I also liked a lot, had a few more colors. So it had a few neon yellows, and then they would mix to some bright greens, and then they would move on to blues, to like teals and bright blues, and then again the purples and the pinks. So she had a knitted sample, and although I really loved how the skein looked, I was not sure if I would like the way the yarn would knit and use that kind of colors as a shawl for me. Okay, so I ended up deciding on this one, and then I had a mission to find another color, a solid color, to pair with this one. So I went to a stand from Irish Fairytale Yarns, which is a German dyer, and I saw this base because it had a lot of lurex and less colors because it's only black and purple, and I thought that I would probably like to see them both together, but then I wasn't sure if I would like to see the lurex and the stellina together, and so I went with this one, which is almost the same colors, but this is a merino base, and this is a sock base, and this one has no sparkle, and so I wasn't sure which one of them I would like to see in the show. So I bought both of them, and then I decided that I would also add this one, because this color is called Viola, because I thought, well, I will only use one of these, and whatever it's left will pair perfectly with this one. So if I use this one, I'll get these two together and it's perfect. And if I use this one, I will get these two together and it will still be perfect. So I ended up with these 3 skeins to pair one of them with this one, and for one shawl, one simple small shawl, I bought 4 skeins of yarn. But then I went to another booth, which was from Bizaria, which is an online Portuguese yarn store, and this yarn store sells in Portugal a yarn from Brazil, which is called Fios da Fazenda. This is a Brazilian yarn, and they have also amazing colors, and they had an amazing neon pink and yellow yarn, and then they had another one which was black and neon pink, but I was a little bit afraid that I wouldn't wear it. I like to see it on the skein, not sure if I would wear it, so I decided to compromise with this version. So this is a white base with neon speckles, and then I decided that this would be my contrasting color for the shawl. So the shawl, I'm not sure if I said it before, but it's called the Dudu shawl. So this will be my contrast color, and then I had to find the perfect main color for the shawl. So I went with this blue. This is a sock base, and this is 100% Corriedale yarn, and I think they are perfect together. And so this will be my Dudu shawl. Oops. And I will have to find the perfect project for this yarn. Other than yarn, I also bought this tin with silicone cables. I'm not sure how you said it in English. So they are, as you know, used to put your stitches on hold. I didn't have any, so I bought this tin with 3 of them. They are very long, so I have one of them in use, but I cut it and made 2 to accommodate the sleeves. I also bought some markers from a friend. They are already being used, so it's a set of these little paws. And I think I didn't, no, yes, I bought one more thing. I bought a pattern from another Portuguese designer for a little purse, and she was offering a project bag to every person who would buy a pattern from her. So I want to make also the little bags, because I do think they are very, very, very beautiful. They are crochet like zip bags. They are very, very, very beautiful. So what else? I don't think I have. Oh yes, I bought another few other things from the festival, but they were gifted to me. They weren't. They weren't things that I bought. So the first thing was another set of markers with this little leaf, crochet leaf from a friend, and it's just a little gift. So she gifted me these markers, and I'm already using them. And I also got a set of mini skeins from Maria João, from Pontinhos ao Vento, because, as I said, she started dyeing yarn, and she was offering the mini skeins where she tested the colors for her dyes, and so obviously I had to I had to have the purple ones. So these are my three mini skeins of yarn. So this was gifted to me, and the markers were also a gift. And I also bought a few knitting needles, very small, like 1.5 millimeters and 2 millimeter needles, from a friend who was giving them away because she didn't need them anymore. So yes, I guess I've said all that I had to say about Knitting Festival. So it was a very good experience. This festival is always in the first weekend of June. So if you are nearby, or if you have plans to visit Portugal in the near future, try to come here in the end of May, beginning of June, and make sure you are in Oporto on the first weekend of June, because this is it's it's a great festival. It's a big festival for a country like Portugal, so it's probably not a huge festival as you would see in other countries of Europe or in the States, but it's totally worth seeing. And if you want to learn how to knit the Portuguese style, usually there's always a workshop on how to knit Portuguese style, so you can attend it. So I was very pleased this year because there were a lot of Spanish knitting gals and some French ladies also. So it was very fun to see other people from other countries to come to our festival. So now I want to share with you my whips as a normal and regular and usual podcast video. So I want to start with my Ella sweater. I think I've shown the sweater on the last video. So I guess I was ending the yoke lace, and at this point I have knitted this much of the body. This is a summer sweater, so it won't be that long. And as you see, as I was saying, I've cut one of the silicone cables and made two, so I could wear them to hold my sleeve stitches. So this is how my Ella is going. At this point it's just plain stockinette stitch, so it's a very mindful knitting. I've been knitting this on my car trips and my train journey because it's mindless and it doesn't take too much brain space. So as I've said, I'm knitting this with a cotton yarn from a Portuguese yarn brand. This yarn has a little bit of lurex, a little bit of sparkle, and I'm really liking how this one is going. Also, I have finished the front of my grapefruit pink lady, so this is how it's looking. Now I've already have the stitches on the needle, and I'm at the point where I have to start shaping the armhole on the back side. So I think this won't take much longer, and after the back is knitted I have to knit the ribbing on the sleeves, right, and on the neckline. So this is also going well. And the last project that I have to show you, I have already shown, which is this little black mess. This is a summer cardigan, It's a free pattern from Drops. It's the Free Flow Cardigan. I'm using Drops Paris. This is a cotton yarn from Drops. And at this point, as you can see, there's not much to see, but this will be like a cardigan with a lace, and the lace has little few flowers made with the eyelets. So it's a simple knit. It's not something that much complicated. So I know I'm using black yarn, and some people are a little bit afraid of knitting with black yarn. It doesn't bother me because it's like a iron weight yarn, and I don't knit it. I don't knit black yarn at night, but during the day, because this is a bulky yarn, not bulky, but iron weight yarn, I don't have any problem knitting this. If it was a fingering weight yarn, I think it would be hard on my eyes, but with this weight of yarn, I don't see any problem. So it's just an early beginning of my cardigan, but this will be one piece that will really be useful on my wardrobe. So yeah, I don't think I have any more whips. No, I have one more whip to show you, and this one should count as a finished object because I'm making the Sunshine and Showers blanket, a pattern from Jenny Crow. I mentioned it on the last episode, I think. So this is a crochet along that was started in 2022 and ended in 2023. So me and some of my friends, we decided to start it in May of 2023 and we will end it in 2024. So we are technically with a year of delay from the original crochet along. But it's okay. No harm is done, so it's okay. So the first month was May, as I've said, and it ended in the green raw, and the June part was the stems for the flower, and the flowers and the sky. So it's amazing. This is an amazing work. It's an amazing pattern. I think. Well, so I have both parts of the blanket, and what I was trying to say is that I always I've knitted another blanket, not from her but from another designer. With well, technically I've finished one, but I am knitting another one, which also has all of these textured stitches and all these three-dimensional flowers and details, and I always find it very interesting to knit these patterns because they are intricate and they are fun and they are different and sometimes outside of the box. And I really admire the designers who are able to design and to conceive and to visualize and imagine this output and write it down and put this idea in a pattern. So for me it's always a pleasure to work these kinds of patterns. So now I'm waiting for July to add a few more rows to my blankets. As I've said, I'm using for this blankets Drops Charisma yarn. So this is wool yarn. It's 100% wool yarn, but it's a superwash yarn. And because it's a superwash yarn, it won't be so difficult to care for as it would be if it was a a normal wool yarn. So I'm not sure if I said this or not, but I really like to work with Charisma, and Charisma is also it's a yarn that it it's usually on sale on a few periods of the year, and when this yarn is on sale, it's more affordable than a normal acrylic yarn. So if I would, when I bought this yarn, if I would have chosen to work with the yarn the designer used, which was acrylic yarn, it would be more expensive for me to buy that yarn than it was to buy this yarn on that sale. So I decided to use a superwash wool yarn because I really like the colors, I like the texture of this yarn, and because I already made this Nature's Walk and the other squares for the other two with Charisma, I really decided that this would be the yarn I would use on my blanket. So yeah, no more whips. I have two more acquisitions to show you. One is more yarn for a special shawl. So I wanted to talk about this shawl. So in Portugal we have during the summer, almost summer, it starts today, which is a season that we call Santos Populares, which are like Christian entities, like saints, and there are three major saints. One is Sant António, then it's São Pedro, and then São João. These are the three majors, and some cities have this saint as their patron, and in the day it's like a local holiday. So today it's the 13th of June and it's Sant António's Day, which means that in Lisbon it's a holiday, and in another cities of the country it's also an holiday. And there are some traditional parties and street celebrations. We call it Arraial, and it's the Saint António's Day. It's the first day where you start to eat grilled sardines, and it marks like the beginning of the summer, not the solstice or the equinox, but the summer solstice. But it's like the traditional starting point of the summer. So from this day on you start to eat sardines. It's when they are good to eat, and it's like the beginning of summertime. Okay, so then it will be São João in Oporto, in other places, and then it will be São Pedro in other cities of the country. So this rambling just to explain that there's a Portuguese designer, which I've called before. It's the same designer from the Ella sweater, and she's called Filipa Carneiro. She has designs on Ravelry, which are published in English also, and every year she designs a shawl, and it's a tradition, and it's always called the Sant António's shawl, and then it gets a proper name, of course, but she designs this pattern every year, and in every year there's an year along starting on the 3rd of June, St. António's Day. So I bought the yarn for this year shawl. I don't need the shawl, I don't need all the shawls. of course, I knit only the ones I like the most. So this year's shawl, I saw it on Oporto, on the festival, and I really liked it. And so I'm knitting the shawl. I'm just waiting to finish all my recordings of the day, and then when I start editing the videos, I will cast on the shawl because it will start today. So the knit along will start today. So I'm using this year yarn for the shawl. You can of course you can change the yarn, but there's a pattern and there's a yarn, and there's a yarn brand sponsoring the shawl and the design. So this is Rosários 4 Falésia. This is a cotton yarn, half cotton, half bamboo viscose, and these are my colors. So the shawl, it's like a textured stitch. This will be the color that will be running all through the shawl, and then there will be a gradient with these two. Well, technically my idea is like this. So yeah, the shawl also has 3 ruffles in the end of the shawl, and the design has all 3 ruffles in the same color, but I am thinking of knitting each one with a different color. I think it will be a very, very fun detail to the shawl. So this is my acquisition for this project starting today. So I hope next video I will have a little bit of the shawl to show you. It would be great if I had all the shawl ready, but I think it will be a little bit difficult for that to happen. The last thing that I want to show you is another planner. I bought this last week. I got it yesterday. I'm very happy with it. This is a happy planner, and it starts, well, it's 18-month planner from July 2023 to December 2024. So I'm using a similar method for my planners, and I'm using a method that it's very similar to this, but it's from a Brazilian company which is called Caderno Inteligente, and it has the same kind of little discs, and I'm using it kind of like a bullet journal with pointed paper and white paper, and I'm making all the planners and all the draws and all the things, but I got to a point where that's not serving me anymore. I'm not getting any gratification from the process, so I decided to move on to a ready-made planner. But I chose this one because this one has the monthly view as I need, and also has the weekly views with the space I need for my plans. And this brand also sells the little tool to make the holes on the paper. So technically you can use any paper on your planner, and you can make your own additional planners and add it to your major planner. So usually I always have a monthly meal plan, and I'm planning on printing my version of my meal plan, because I don't plan for breakfasts, I don't plan for lunches, I only plan for dinners, because I make dinners, I make more meals for dinner, and then we take the leftovers to lunch. So my tomorrow lunch will be my today's dinner, okay? So, and breakfast I don't have to plan because we always eat more or less the same things. Use on there's no point on planning whether the girls will eat a yogurt, or if they will eat a toast, or if they will eat cereals. There are not that many variations on what they eat for breakfast, and I only drink a cup of milk with coffee, or a milk with the golden, like golden milk with the spices for the golden milk. And so that doesn't require much planning on breakfast. And because our lunch, well, the youngest still eats on the school canteen, but the rest of us, we take our lunch from home. So I cook a little extra, and that's what we eat at lunch on the next day. So I only plan for dinners. And now I can print my planners, and I can just add it to this version. Also, I fell in love with this one because this is a very mystical, inspired layout and design, and I really liked how it looked, and I think it's very up to date where I am now at this moment of my life, and also has some inspirational sentences. And yes, so I am very pleased with my new planner, and I've also indulged because, well, sometimes a girl has to allow herself to indulge, and I indulged in matching stickers for my planner. And so now I have a book full of stickers that I can use on my planner. So again, this is from Happy Planner. I think, I'm not sure. No, it's Happy Brands. I think this is a Canadian. I'm not sure. Probably yes, it's a Canadian brand. But well, I'm very happy. So I bought this in an European online store. They had a lot of designs, of course, and a lot of options, and a lot of extra planners to add to the planner. And yeah, so I think this will be very useful from now on. I really feel that I need to change my method, because it's the one I'm still using is not working for me anymore. So one of the biggest lessons I've learned with personal organization and household organization and everything that requires you to be organized and to plan the areas of your life that need planning, is that you have to understand, and you have to allow yourself to adapt. And there's no way the same system will work for you throughout your life, because your life changes, your needs will change, you will have more things to look after at some point of your life. When my girls were younger, it was more demanding for me. So at this point, they are a little bit older, and they are a little bit more responsible. So I don't have to be so on top of their work or their studies, because they are responsible. They can attend their needs by themselves. And so things do change. And as things change around me, I need to adjust and I need to adapt so I can still keep track of everything. So it was time for a change, and I'm really looking forward to start using my new planner, and I'm so happy with it that I decided to share it with you. So yeah, for now it's all. I have to thank you for being on your end of our conversation. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you keep our conversation going on Instagram or here on the comment section. If you want to support my work or my work as a podcaster, you can buy me a coffee. Also, if you're not comfortable with the coffee platform, you can offer me one of my patterns from my wish list on Ravelry. And if it's not at your power to make an offer, it's okay. It's not needed. It's just if you want to. So I hope to see you on the next episode or anytime sooner in my social media or in the comment section. So take care, please knit a lot and be happy. Bye.